Welcome to the Free Game Don D podcast, life, family, and business. Listen, today's topic is going to be single fatherhood. And so today I have with me Mr. Harrison Gresham, a successful businessman, entrepreneur. I know he's also in corporate America. So Harrison, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit?
So just a little bit about myself. I was in the corporate world, started off there initially as a manager with a grocery chain. Shortly thereafter, became a corporate trainer for a furniture franchise business. I'll make sure I stay in the mic. After becoming a corporate trainer, took an opportunity to own a location, owned 2 furniture retail locations for about 11 and a half years. Also did some other things, got some other certifications. I was a district manager for a chain in Augusta as well. So a couple of different things in business and opportunities. I'm currently doing some business development and ventures out there. So just try to stay up, ahead of what's going on in business.
Yeah. I know I met you a few years ago, man. I just thought you were a super intelligent brother, man. I like the way you carry yourself, man. And I know we chopped it up about some business stuff. And I think the thing that really, I guess, gravitated us to each other was fatherhood. And so
Yes.
You're a single father.
Yes.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
So, I'm a single father. I've got 3 children. One's 19 years old, 2 sons, 19-year-old, a 15-year-old son, and my daughter's 9 years old. And been a single father for about going on 8 years now, roughly. And it's had its challenges, but it's the best decision, best thing. I've enjoyed it, and I love them, and I protect them, and I just love it.
Wow. No, I mean, can you just like briefly share with people, like, because I'm sure there's fathers watching this saying, man, how does someone like Harrison gain custody of his children and end up in that situation? And so can you kind of like speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, everybody has a different situation. Mine was kind of unique in the sense that we didn't have a lengthy battle. We were able to kind of sit down as adults, have a good conversation, and make a decision based upon where the kids needed to be, based upon what was best for them at the time. And that just happened to be with me, And so we made that decision, and they came to live with me, and they've been there ever since. We've shared some custody and shared some things, and times with their mom, times with me, just like any parents should do. But they've been primarily with me.
Wow. So basically you're trying to tell me that you and your ex have a very good understanding when it comes to the children. So you guys don't have any issues. So is everything in writing, or is just an understanding between you and you?
No, everything's in writing. Yeah. No, it's got to be in writing. Let me say that. That's the first thing. Anything you do, any agreements you have, just like in business or anywhere else, make sure it's in writing. Okay, I tell that to any father, any woman that goes through a situation. Make sure it's in writing. Have your responsibilities, who's doing what, and where that's supposed to be, and times of visitation, and all those guidelines. Because if you don't have it in writing, it's left up in the air. And people change their minds, situations change, but you can always go back to the basic fundamental of what's in writing. That's the bare minimum. We can always do different things. If her visitation's once every 2 weeks and she wants extra visitation, or they want to go spend a night at mom's or spend a week at mom's or whatever the case may be, we can do that. And that's a decision and a conversation we can have. But it's not for the times when things are going great. That writing is for when times are not going so great, and hey, we're going to go back to what's in writing.
Wow. No, I like that, man, because I know when me and you chop it up, man, when you talk about it, it does seem like it's a very comfortable situation for you when it comes to the kids and the whole thing with you and your ex and how y'all have things set up. But even you made it very clear that, listen, things have to be in writing, right? And because there are men out here that probably have some sort of understanding with their ex, and they don't have things in writing. And like you said, it's all good until one day it's not, or until there's a disagreement about where the kids should be at, and then that person that actually, I guess, has legal custody or legal sole custody is probably going to pull rank on you, right?
Exactly. And it's very important to, like I said, get those things in writing. And you can always do additional things, or if something needs to be updated, go back and update what's in writing. But have it in writing, because it's as simple as a conversation. I can say something to someone and they interpret it one way, and now that changes the whole meaning. And it's like, no. The writing is very clear. It's very understood. Let's have this in writing.
Let me ask you this too, man, because I know this is something that even I experienced when I got custody of my two daughters. Like, are you getting child support?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one thing that we didn't do initially, just because of circumstances, financial circumstances. You know, my financial circumstance was better than hers at the time, and we just made a decision at that time that we wouldn't pursue that. Now she helps, she does, and there's things that she provides for the kids, insurances and different things, but we didn't do that.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's nothing, you know, and I hear it on. I've heard it on both sides, you know, and I've been suggested on each term, and you know, our relationship is good when it's good and it's bad when it's bad. But that's just one of the things we just haven't done.
But no, I mean, shout out to y'all, man. I mean, I think a lot of people would like to have that kind of, you know, situation where you don't feel the need to hold the father or the mother, you know, responsible for their responsibilities, right? So obviously y'all have worked through that, and that's a non-issue for y'all. So I think that's actually commendable. I mean, certainly, but I know there's a statistic that says that women are more likely to have custody of their children, but they're also more likely to not pay child support. But like I said, that's a little skewed because they're also more likely to have custody. But when they don't have custody, they don't pay child support.
Yeah, I haven't heard that statistic, but I can believe that statistic, right? I can definitely believe that. And, you know, even when we first met, the conversation that we had, we talked about single fatherhood. I had no clue that you had been a single father. So it was amazing that we had that commonality. And so, you know, there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of men out there that have custody of their kids, so they're being those single fathers, and you know, it's just not as recognized because, you know, for different reasons or another, I think it's not promoting those fathers that are out there really, really trying their hardest to provide for the family and the
What
children.
do you think that is, though, man? I kind of like. I know you kind of touched on that very, very lightly. You're carefully kind of teetering around that, but like, why don't you think that society as a whole talks more about fathers who are stepping up and you know, they don't want any kind of award or anything. They're doing their job. So it's not like, you know, we expect that. I remember one time, as I got custody of my kids, I was shopping with the girls because I would take them school shopping and things of this nature. And they were young girls, and I'm in JCPenney's and stuff. And this lady was like, "Oh, that's so commendable." I got offended. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, I was just like, I'm just doing. If I was a mother in there shopping with my girls, you wouldn't say anything. But because I'm a father in here, it's like you saw a unicorn or something. But, you know, so I received it afterward. But at the time, I was like, lady, you don't get out my face. I'm just doing my job. I mean, like, I'm not looking for any extra credit. So why do you think it is that, because I know a lot of fathers that either have custody or they have shared custody, but they're super involved as fathers. I mean, they're not with the mother or the ex-wife or whatever the situation is, but they're still very involved fathers, but we don't hear enough about that.
You know, honestly, I think it may be like you just said. I'm just doing my job. Like, I've never walked around. I'm a single father, and I'm you know, and we're talking about the conversation now, but that's not something I just walk around going, I'm a single father, and you know, I don't even bring that up too often in conversation. Whereas you might get that from a woman because it's an understanding of her circumstances, and I may be looking at whatever my circumstances are. That's not who I am. I'm going to be there for them. That's my job. That's just what I do. And and the same thing, like you said, shopping with your daughters, right?
Hold on a second, man. I can't let you go past that. You said that when women do this, like that's basically they're identifying themselves as such, because we hear this all the time. Oh, I'm a single mother. Yeah. I created this business as a single. You're a single father. I was a single father for 3 years. So like, I don't understand. I mean, like, but I never hear men say, I'm a single father and I overcame these things. I mean, because trust me, me and you talk. I mean, it's a struggle. Doing what you do.
It is.
You never talk about that. You're not on a podium talking about, hey, I'm in this corporate position, I'm here and I'm there, and I'm a single father.
Yeah, I think that's, again, just socially, we just don't, it's not brought up. And it is anticipated when people find it out. I hear shock on people's face, like, you're a single father? You got 2 sons and a daughter? You got a little girl that you're dealing with? And it's like, yeah, I'm doing that. That would be no difference if I ran across a single mother that was doing the same thing. It's just looked at differently, and it's difficult finding resources in a lot of ways that way. Classes, you stand out in a group. I was recently in a terrific class called Single and Parenting. And it was a terrific group, terrific class, had a really good time, but I was the only guy in the group.
Wow.
So, and the videos and the things they showed, it showed other fathers in there, but it was like, I would have never known there were other fathers out there because it's just not promoted. And that's a good question. I don't know why it's not promoted as much. I think, if you're a single father out there and you're taking care of your kids and you're doing all the great things that you're trying to do, and it is a struggle, you should be promoted more. You should be recognized, because just as any single parent, it's a challenge to work, to take care of home, take care of your kids, get them to school on time, make sure they're doing the right things, meeting the objectives, being a productive citizen. And if you add anything in addition to that, like volunteering or some of the things that we do, that's just a bigger bonus and more on your plate. So it's a big challenge. So any single parent, really.
Yeah. I think just to listen to us have this conversation, you're right. I never hear.
Yeah.
I never heard a man, speaking and then edifying the fact that, because that's really what, mothers are doing. I mean, they're edifying themselves to some degree. Yeah. I'm a single mom and I overcame, I did these things. Okay, well, and I respect that.
Yeah.
So I have no, no animosity towards that. But what I'm saying, there's a lot of men out here that are doing the exact same thing, but they don't even, I think even as a man, we have a problem, I guess kind of even stepping out like that anyway, owning that. We don't even get into none of that. We just feel like we're supposed to just keep all this on the inside and just do what we're supposed to be doing. And that's how we are pretty much with everything. I don't think that's got anything to do with just the parent thing. I just think men in general, a lot of times, we just keep all that on the inside, right?
Well, and that could be a good topic, because that's, I know for me, I'll say this, I felt it as though it was a sign of weakness. That not being a single father, but the situations behind it and what led to it. And it was a story that was there that I just really didn't want to go to. I didn't want people to be in that personal side of my business. Because I'm in business in corporate America, I'm gonna handle what's required, right? I'm gonna excel. I'm gonna meet the numbers. When I get home with my kids and my family, I'm gonna do what's necessary for them as well. And the moment I have to explain something that's emotional, because it's emotional when you go through a separation, a divorce, or whatever the case may be, and you have to take on those challenges, that's emotional. And most of us as men, we don't know how to address those emotions. We don't know how to acknowledge those emotions, especially in larger settings. We may do it one-on-one, but we just don't do it as much as we should.
Yeah. No, man, I guess I know so many single fathers. I know one of my mentors in podcasting, a guy named Jermaine Bradley, like we see him a lot of time with his daughters and stuff. The dude he's incredible, but like he doesn't really talk about it or anything. Like we know so many fathers, man, black and white. They've stepped up, and I guess I understand what you're just saying, just because I know when I was a single father, if I was to say, oh yeah, I did this and I'm a single father, it's almost like I feel like I'm looking for extra something if I say that. That's how I would take that. I'm not saying that that's how it is. I'm just saying that. So I understand when you say, well, I feel like it's a sign of weakness. Not really, but
it's not.
That's just our perception of that. Exactly. And of course, we know that that's not always reality, but. But that's just something that we just kind of deal with. But when I found out you were a single father, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, man. That's when I realized you were a real man. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, this dude's strong, man. I mean, you know how hard it is to be a single father, and you're not dating or anything.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was still dating.
I have dated. And with some career changes in the last year, I really self-analyzed and said, okay, what do I need to relinquish right now? What do I need to refrain from for the moment anyway, and really focus in on certain things. So it was career and family. Those had to come first. And when I talk about family is what's there present in front of me. My 2 sons and my daughter, you know, and an extended family, of course. And, you know, even though me and my ex are separated and we're divorced and do that, I still take some responsibility because that's the mother of my kids, right? So I want to make sure she's good because she needs that representation. My daughter needs that representation. My son needs that representation. So I try to balance a lot of that first. And when you start inviting other people in, you got to explain what the situations are and get this other additional understanding.
Yeah,
And it's like, look, I just don't got time to explain all this right now.
No, man. I know we were chopping it up once before, and I was like, man, you know, when I was a single father, and even when I was dating Michael, you know, I was just like, listen, man, this is my kids' time. Yeah. So when their time is up with, then we can spend some time together. And I thought that was very important. And shout out to you. I mean, because your youngest is what? How old?
She's 9.
She's 9. Oh, yes, man.
Yes.
You know, they ain't got time for you bringing no other woman by there, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be all about you and them. So no, I totally get that, man. I really, really, really do, man. So hats off to you for that, because these kids, they go through something traumatic when there's a divorce, and a lot of times the parents are so wrapped up in I need to keep my life going and all this kind of stuff, but the kid's life has been just torn apart. They have to basically adapt to a whole new normal, and now you're out here dating some other guy or some other woman. So shout out to you, man. So you're not even dating anyone right now?
No. I got the blinders on, what I call it. I call it the blinders.
Got the blinders on?
Yeah. If I'm in a social situation, I'm there to handle business, and then I'm headed home. So now when the blinders come off, that'll be a whole different subject. But for now, it's just focusing on the kids, focusing on my daughter. She's a heart patient. I think I told you that, right? I tell you, she's a heart patient.
No,
so
I think you did.
Yeah, she had open heart surgery when she was a month old.
Oh, wow.
And so that becomes a priority there just in itself.
Wow.
And so
she's still having complications?
Not necessarily complications. As she grows, maintenance is a good word for it, and observation. So continued observation, and that's another thing that was important, to try to keep that relationship with her mom and those things going on, because that help is needed. We need to communicate about what her health care is on a constant basis, and how she's doing, and certain things, and doctor's visits and appointments. So. In the mix of all of that, and it's like explaining the situations and the circumstances. We talk about it, but when you're trying to date someone and you're
it's too much.
It's like, hey,
that's too much, man.
Yeah, I'm good right now.
That's too much, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like the 3 years that I was single, coming out of my divorce, man, I didn't want to talk about. I didn't bring anybody around the kids. Michael was the first one, and me and her dated for a year before I brought her around the kids.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I don't have time to explain like all this drama and stuff that I got in my life, man. So, I'm just trying to be the best father I can be, man, and put their happiness before my own, man. So I 100% get it, man. Shout out to you, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's pretty dope.
And I say this, like, for single parents as a whole, if you get our relationship, you got kids, there's certain traumas you need to deal with the kids. There's certain traumas you need to deal with yourself. And a lot of times we find someone, we attach to them, we date, we quote unquote date someone, and we're explaining to them those traumas thinking they're going to heal us from us, when we need to be talking to a counselor. We need to be talking to someone certified, or some people that's in the Word or the Bible, and getting some self-development going on that before you start just really getting out there and dating. And, this class, the class I was telling you about, the single and parenting, anybody wants to look it up, it's online, you can check it out. It was really good. The last thing it talks about is dating. You go through 12 different topics before you get to dating. And I took that the way to say, you got to handle all this other stuff before you start thinking about bringing someone else into your life and your situation and your circumstance.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You brought up therapy. Yeah. I'm a big believer in therapy. So have you been to therapy?
I went years ago, once visit. And a lot of it's just been talking to people around me and circumstances, listening. It's something that I definitely want to do, but a lot of it's self-reflection too. That's the first thing I did for me was self-reflect and pray. Been around a lot of people, that go through different things. Counseling's really good. If you can't really get a self-assessment of where you are and where your mental status is and things going on in your life, you definitely need to go to counseling first thing. Just that should be right off top.
Now, what about the kids? The kids, did they go to therapy?
Yeah, they've gone to therapy.
Man, that's good. You know, when I went through my situation, like I put the kids in therapy. I mean, and let them kind of talk. 'Cause sometimes kids go through things emotionally that they can't share with you.
Oh,
right?
For sure.
I mean,
for sure.
they share some stuff, but there's some deep seated things. And I found out that my kids blame me for certain things, right? And I did, because I had custody. I'm like, man, I got y'all, man. Come on, man. How is my fault? You know what I'm saying? But they, there were some things that they blamed me for, and we talked about it in therapy and got it out in the open, and
that's good.
I helped them better understand some things, and I think it healed us all, man. Because when kids go through this trauma, and go through all of these emotional roller coasters, and you're mad, like, man, what are you talking about? I'm doing this, I'm doing that, blah 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 blah. Me and my daughter, especially my oldest daughter, she was the one. She's very vocal, man. She should have been Donald Doe the third. So she's very vocal. And me and her went to therapy together, and there were some things that she just wanted to talk about, and we sat down and we talked about it. And after that, it was great for us, man. So shout out to you, man, for getting the kids in therapy as well, because they have things they need to talk about, man. Sure. So yeah, shout out to you for that, man. That's big, man.
It is, and keep a counselor on hand. Keep somebody a conversation, or if it's not a counselor, another family member. They've talked to my mother, they've talked to my sister, they've talked to my ex's mother. They've had people around that they could go and conversate with that was just outside of us.
Yeah, I like that, because sometimes they feel like they can't talk to you, but maybe they can talk to your sister, your mama. Yep. Not that they can't talk to you like that, but it's just they feel more comfortable talking to someone else, and you have to make them feel comfortable with those other outlets, man. So exactly. That's good, man. That's real. I'm just big on therapy, man. I really believe it works. Me personally, man, I've been in therapy. It's something that's helped save my life, I think, mentally. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not right with your mind, it's hard to be right physically. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So shout out to you for that, man. So let me ask you this, man. So how do you juggle all of this, man? You got 3 kids, man. It's just you, man. Every time I turn around, you're doing something, man. Like you stay busy. You're very active in the community. You're doing a lot of stuff business wise. Me and you are part of some of the same organizations, so I see you doing a lot of good stuff, man. And I'm like, man, how does this dude get to do all this stuff, man? Like,
honestly, that's support. And I get support from their mother still, as far as those helping times. And when I'm out doing objectives, she helps me. I've always been career focused. There's times she was a stay-at-home mom and different things in our career path. She's gone out and worked at different times and time frames and everything. So she helps a lot. My sister helps. There's times where it's like, hey, sis, can you grab the kids this time frame? And I do the same thing for her and her husband sometimes, because I've got 2 nieces, and so they'll come over and just hang out because, otherwise my daughter's just there with 3 guys all the time, and
right.
So she's like, look, I need some girls that I can do dress up with and paint the nails and do all that kind of good stuff with, right? So that's been very helpful as well, and there's some age gaps in there. My sons are real good. I'm blessed to just have good kids. I have to be honest about that. I'm blessed to have good kids. They're good people.
Okay,
is what I'll say. They're just good people.
Yeah, but shout out to you though, man. Good kids don't just come out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So you've done a phenomenal job. And listen, man, you and your ex have done a great job, because when there's a nasty breakup and a contentious divorce and all this other kind of stuff and fighting over kids. I mean, kids are affected by this kind of stuff, but they are. You guys didn't have that, and so the kids didn't have to deal with all of that emotional baggage, man. So shout out to you guys. I mean,
well, we worked hard at it. I won't say that. I won't say that we didn't have moments and times. I just being honest and truthful. There's definitely been moments and times and situations. But once that situation's ended, someone's got to take a breath and breathe and say, okay, where do we go from now? Where do we go from here? And again, going back to the very first question, having stuff in paper, in writing, having those agreements already made can help you identify.
Have you ever had to pull out the paper?
Once or twice, maybe, you know. Just, hey, check your email. Remember.
Check your email.
Yeah. You know what Michael say? Do you remember? Yeah, you know, hey, hold up. Let's you know, and there's certain times that hey, it's been said to me too. Hey, you got certain obligations, because it goes both ways. There's certain obligations I got, you know.
Right.
And so, but trying to just keep those open lines of communication. And, you know, something we've worked on in the last couple of years is really just trying to take a step back. Just breathe, take a step back, think about the situation, come back to it.
Yeah.
Come back to it. If we don't agree right now, take a breath. Let's figure something out.
And it sounds like you guys put the kids first.
Try to, as much as possible.
Yeah, so even when y'all have a disagreement, like, what's best for the kids?
Exactly. That's the ultimate thing.
Yeah, that's big, because I think a lot of parents lose sight of that, man. So shout out to you for that, man. So what advice would you give any other fathers that are in your situation where, you know, they're single fathers or they're fighting for fatherhood? Like, what advice would you give them?
You know, one, seek legal guidance. Seek legal guidance on any and everything. That's just important. Yeah. Because what you may think is right on point may not play out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So definitely seek legal guidance. But, you know, one, be there for your kids. Take that as your number one and top priority. That's vital. And have that understanding. Try to keep respect in it. Don't be disrespectful. Even though you may feel disrespected at times, try to stay as respectful as possible. Don't lose your character, because things you do now can come up later. And we know that. So so stay calm, stay collected. That's the thing. Stay collected, keep your mentality together. Yeah. And, you know, if you're going through certain situations, be strategic. You have to be strategic, because somebody else, if you're not being strategic and you don't have a plan, that other person may. And that's going to impact you hard. So stay strategic and seek that guidance, whether it's a counselor, legal advice, combine all that together.
Yeah, no, I like that, man. I like that a lot, man. I always tell these fathers, man, hey, man, like you said, you need to get you a lawyer, bro.
Yeah.
You need to get you a lawyer, man. I like what you said about the paperwork. It goes both ways, man.
Yeah,
it goes both ways. Sometimes you might have to check you. Hold up now, this is my weekend. I mean, exactly. I know you're saying they can't come, but check your email.
Exactly.
Yes. So let me ask you this too, Harrison, because business. I mean, as a business owner, like, and someone that has been in business and someone's in corporate America, like, what do you think your challenges have been in business?
For and foremost, capital.
Capital, you know?
Yeah. And I know a lot of business owners say that, and you know that can be an ever growing challenge, you know, in different circumstances. I think for most business owners, capital and time management is my opinion. Yeah. And like we talked about earlier with kids and different things, just really managing your time, because you know you leave corporate America, you know, at the end of the day, you clock out, you're done. Your day is done in most cases. You know, even in executive or management positions where you're on call. You know, I've been in positions where I was on call 24 hours a day, but there was a typical end to that day unless an emergency happened. I wasn't at home having to worry about how I'm going to finance the business the rest of this month, or payroll, or you know, doing my own accounting and having to do all these different hats, as you like to say it. So, you know, I think is the biggest challenge, is identifying all the different aspects you're really going to have to do in your business. And, you know, because you become a jack of all trades, a master of none in a lot of ways.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny. People always say that, you know, that was a jack of all trades, master of none. People say that, but I don't think that a lot of times they really let that soak in, because I'm seeing a lot of folks trying to do a lot of things all at one time.
Yeah.
And even with us, man, sometimes folks reach out to us about other business opportunities, and I say, well, no, we specialize in this.
Exactly.
Right? Don't get me wrong. We can dabble in some of that other stuff, but it's truly a dabble. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's just not our focus, and we're not going to lead anyone to believe that that's our focus, right? So, so shout out to you, man. Now funding, because we got somebody that can get you some funding if you ever needed some. So, but yeah, capital is definitely one of those big things, man. So I know right now you're not.
I'm not in any business operations as far as ownership or anything else. I can kind of taking a break, redefining myself. Still got some ideas and some things that are boiling. My background is organizational psychology and development. That's my degree field. So it's really on how do businesses grow and develop. And so, taking some time to really refigure some things out for myself.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, man. Like, entrepreneurship, like, is that like your passion? Is that kind of who you see yourself as, or?
I'm an entrepreneur just because that's the term that they use.
Right.
But for me, I'm a helper. I like seeing people grow and develop. I've always had a passion for training. It was one of the things I did very young in my career was doing training and development for business owners and franchise owners. Got to be a little bit more creative, think outside the box. Because as you know, most, I'm not going to say all business owners, one of the other challenges that they have is that they get locked into just working in their business. They're working their job, right? And you're very successful at it. And you guys have been very successful at it. Is not just working in my business, but working on the business.
Oh, come on, man.
I got to be able to step out. I got to be able to step outside the four walls of that business, right? And when you're an entrepreneur and you're that sole proprietor and everything depends on you, that's very challenging to do. Or your time management gets up because I'm at my location, I'm working my business all day, then I got to try to go out and network, and I got to try to go to this meeting, this function. When some of those happen during the day, you're missing opportunities during the day, because in the evening, it's a challenge to go to everything and then support a family and so forth, so forth. So, entrepreneur is a good thing, but I'm more of a helper. I want to help business grow. I want to be a partnership. I want collaborations. That's my next goal is redefining how we do partnerships and collaborations in our businesses.
Wow. No, I totally received that, man. It seems like sometimes there's this, especially like on social media, there's this clash between being an employee versus being a entrepreneur. And sometimes I see these things and I don't share this crap because I believe being an entrepreneur is very hard. And a lot of folks, if they knew how hard it was, they would not be clamoring to be
Oh yeah.
entrepreneur.
Oh yeah. For sure.
There's a lot of sacrifice that comes along with this stuff, man. And I know one of my favorite books is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And he talks about how you have to go from, that sole proprietor mindset of working in your business to actually running a real business where you're working on the business, right?
Exactly.
From in it to on it. And because your goal is to buy time. It's not to create a job for yourself. Because at some point, if you're always working in the business, you're going to build a job. You're going to build a business that you hate because it becomes a job.
Yep.
Right. And that wasn't your reasoning for doing this, man.
Exactly.
So I know we've talked a lot about, some of your experiences as a business owner and how there's a lot of things you had to do. And I'm sure that when you got into it, that wasn't your idea.
Yeah, for me, when I first got into business, it was a little bit easier because for 6.5 years, I trained people how to own those dealerships and franchises and how to really do it. So when I went into business, I already had a game plan. I already been around it, knew what I needed to do. I knew, get a staff and certain things, get in line to be able to buy back some of that time frame. Now, that's not to say that there weren't long nights and people calling in sick and different things going on that you still got to handle. But I think it has to be a focus on, like you said earlier when you said the jack of all trades, master of none, really being able to focus in. Find your passion. Find what you're passionate about. And the things you're not passionate about, you got to make a decision. Do I find someone that I can afford to pay to do those things? Or do I find a partner to help me do those things? And for me, it's trying to find partners to do those things. The things that I don't like doing, I want to find partners to help me with that specialize in it. So they can have their focus, I have my focus, and we both succeed.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, man. So I know right now you're just kind of you're doing a few things, just trying to figure out exactly where you're going to position yourself. I'm gonna be honest, man. You've been a great asset to my life, man. Just having you that I can chop stuff up with. I
take it vice versa. I tell you that now, and it's true. Free game Don D, because you give so many free nuggets. All someone's got to do is listen. If they dare to listen, they can pick up so many great things. So I appreciate that the opposite way. Like so much has impacted me, and I run those thoughts in my head. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna heed those conversations that I'm hearing. You know, I watch the podcast and different things. I'm like, all right, before I do the next thing, let me add that to my list to make sure I'm good on.
Well, listen, man. I'm just it's something that I'm getting used to saying. I'm just going to say I received that. You know, yeah, I received that, man. Yeah, man. Having good people around you is just. I tell people that what's around you is probably more important than what's in you. Because if you got good stuff around you,
yes, sir,
it can get in you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So sometimes, you know, where you're gonna go at in life is not in you at this moment. But if you're around good stuff,
yeah, oh yeah,
you know, it can get in you, and you can become what you need to become, man. So I'm just lucky, man. I got a lot of great people around me, man. You know, you and several other brothers that I'm proud to call brothers, man. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, and you know, and I had this conversation with people all the time that's looking to go into business because you know you meet someone that's been in business. The first thing is, hey, what can you give me? What tidbits can you provide, right? And some of the things they just don't want to hear. Like, yeah, it's gonna be long hours. Yeah, you might have to sell some things to fund your business that you're uncomfortable doing, you know, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just a firm believer. The more and more that I grow, the more that I see certain organizations grow. It's like, look, man, find your partners, find your collaborators, connect with people, find your definitive roles of who's gonna do what, and then grow organically together. Because you know that takes a lot of challenges out. It's like compound interest almost. Like you can compound people's experiences that they've had in business, you know, and really connect with them one to one and say, all right, I've got a business idea. You like my business idea? Okay, this is what I envision you doing in this business. How can we work this out? How can we collaborate to get this going? You know, and different partners. You know, for me, I've categorized people in a couple of different sectors. They're either an investor, they're a worker, you know, or they're a partner. The workers, they're working while you're doing those other objectives. That's the worker. If they're an investor, they're not working. They're the investor. They provided finance or capital or insight. That's an investment. And then a partner's there side by side. Whatever I'm going through, you're going through, and we're doing this together. So, you know, it's just defining what those roles are going to be.
Yeah. Wow. Now, let me ask you this. I know you can't speak to it too much. I know you just recently sold a franchise and you signed an NDA, so I know you got to be careful what you say here. But what advice would you give someone that is transitioning maybe from corporate America or you know from any job, and then they're wanting to be a business owner?
One, do your research, market research. How many other businesses are out there doing what you're looking to do? You know, are you innovating something? Are you making a new something better than what it already is? And those ideas, really look at everything that's out there, get a full scope, do your research. That's very important. Second thing is, look, again, I go back to the partnerships and collaborations. I'm big on that because when you get in business alone, you're alone. And a lot of times you'll get partners that you think are partners. They really ain't your partner.
Right.
The bank isn't your partner.
Definitely not.
They're your creditor. You know.
Right.
The guy that's supplying your business with whatever merchandise, they're not your partner.
Right.
They're your supplier.
Right.
So it's like, do your research, find your true partners, the folks that a partner is someone that you can call on and say, man, I had a really tough day today. This is what's going on. You got any advice for me? That's a partner. Now, they haven't invested anything financially in your business, but they're investing time with you. You know, every person that's going to share, like, and repost your information, to me, that's a partner because that's a marketing partner. You're helping me brand and do those things. And so that's important to find those people that's going to really promote your business because it doesn't matter what business you go in, there are certain fundamentals you're going to need. You're going to need capital. You're going to need marketing. And whether you do a product or service, you're going to need stuff to come in and go out. You're going to need supplies. So, hey, find those partners, find strategic partners, and really build a relationship with them.
Yeah. Listen, man. I hope people listen to this, man. This is some great game right here, man. Let me ask you this, man. Like when you see people like that are trying to make that transition, some people say, "Well, just go do it. Just quit your job and jump out there and do it, man." I'm not one to really. I would never give that advice to anybody.
No,
We have brokers that partner with us, and some of them have great jobs, but they wanna be brokers, and they kind of want to do their own thing, and so they'll work with us part time.
Yeah.
And I'll always tell them, I said, listen, man. They said, well, Don, I want to do this full time. I said, I understand you want to do it full time, but there's still a financial obligation that you have.
Yes.
And so I'll tell them, listen, don't do your job, use your job.
Exactly.
Oh, I hate this job. Okay. That job is, you feel a little different about that job when you stop doing it and start using it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go to work every day with a different mentality because you're like, listen, I am using this job because there's something that I want to do for myself.
Exactly.
And so I'm not doing my job, I'm using my job. And, a lot of folks that, to me, get caught up in how much they hate their job, those are folks that are doing their job. They're not using it, and so they don't see a way out.
Exactly.
So when you're going to work every day and you don't see a path out of that situation because you're just creating debt, you're just doing your job, you're building your whole life around this job. There's no way out of this situation. You're not using it, you're doing it. Yeah, now you're walking around talking about how much you hate your job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you use that job, man, this job is great, man. This job is financing my future and the things that I want to do. You're using it. So what do you think about that?
I think that goes back to something you said earlier. The difference between owning a job and owning a business. If I'm employed in corporate America, that's my employment. That's some security on my tough times. And I'm going to use the time that I take off because I'm going to work those hours, whether I'm there at my location or retail. If I'm doing that business all day long, I jumped out and left this little bit of security I got, this little bit of security I got, and I go out there and I really start my own business. What's going to happen when something fails? Because there's going to be failure in every business. Something's going to fail.
For sure.
If it's not your entire business, something's going to happen and it's going to throw you off. Something's going to be damaged. You're going to have to do some things and reorganize some things. So, really keep that security. Don't trade a job for another job. If you work in a job and the goal is I'm going to be a boss, I'm finna be a boss. I'm finna be my own boss, right? Be your own boss in your own job right now. Maximize everything you do there. And then the time you leave, you're using your skills, resources, everything you learn in your day job, the time that you work for someone else, to benefit you when you go into your own career and your own business. And again, going in your own business, there are certain different fields that you're going to be that only person. But even in regular professional services, which considers doctors and specifically doctors, lawyers, and everything else, you see them build partnerships.
For sure.
So again, I'll always go back to that's going to be my number one recommendation for any entrepreneur: is get a partner.
Listen, man, partnerships, man. I'm gonna be honest. Me and my wife, our agency, the success behind it is predicated on our partnerships, man. We have phenomenal partnerships. We value those partnerships. We don't do anything to disrupt any of that. And
exactly.
No one wins alone. And we understand. I think Keith Ferrazzi has a book called "No One Wins Alone." I think it's over there on my bookshelf. Matter of fact, the orange one over there. But we truly believe that, and we live by that. And even when we have other brokers that want to grow into agencies, we always tell them, listen, you're not going to win alone, because because sometimes it's hard, because sometimes people want to edify whatever it is they're doing, and we're like, hey, you win when you edify other people, right?
Sure.
Partnerships matter. I'm really big on that. That's one of my hashtags that I use a lot on, especially on LinkedIn when I'm talking about business. Partnerships matter. Who you're partnering with matters. I mean, me and you being partners, being, we know each other. We do some stuff together. Like that matters. Success team, Tim Bailing, all this stuff, it matters.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Who truly does.
Who you were affiliated with matters. I mean, my mentor is a gentleman named Kevin Brown out of Columbia. That's my guy, man. This stuff matters, man. All this stuff matters, man. And so no one wins alone, but a lot of folks will, have this mentality that, they're going to win along, and they wonder why they, like you just said, I wrote it down in my phone, like owning a job versus owning a business. So when you don't have partnerships, you end up owning a job.
Yep, exactly.
When you own a business, that's generally because you've built partnerships, right?
Yeah.
You're growing along with other people, and you guys have a vested interest in each other growing. You know what I'm saying? You fully understand that, man. So
Oh, for sure.
I think that's the only way to really have true success. I don't know any successful businesses, man. And you know, we know a lot of people who own businesses, but I know in our industry for sure, most of them are connected to other groups or other partnerships. I mean, they're winning as a collective group, and everyone is happy and thriving because they understand that it's a partnership. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, we look at you know, sometimes being the boss and you go, I got these employees. We're talking about, you know, the difference between employment and ownership, right? But the employees, I know the teams that I built, they've had ownership as far as their positions and their jobs, right? They may not necessarily had the full ownership in the company, but they owned their positions and their jobs, and they took responsibilities for those. And that enabled me to go out and do other things that I could make a return on to benefit their lives better, right? Because those were the things I was capable of. So, like for an entrepreneur that's saying, man, I'm going to quit my day job. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do all this on my own, all of it. You know, write your business plan up. Divide the different functions of your business into what roles really take place. A lot of people lose sight of all the different roles. You know, answering the phone and following up on calls is a role. That's a job description. So if that's all of your job, think about it. You go, man, I'm finna do my own business. I'm making $45 an hour. You making $45 an hour to answer the phone? Really? And that's your time management? Like when I could outsource that or pay someone else for that time, and now I could really do the things that are really beneficial to my business. I can go meet a new client. I can, you know, work on product development or the specific things that are passionate that brought me to that business. So look at those things that either you don't like to do or that are time consuming, and you say, look, I can give that to somebody else, a partner, an employee, whatever that may be. I can pass that off because that's going to now put me back into my zone. I'm a believer that be the master of one thing. Yeah. Flip that term around. Sure. Be the master of that one thing, because you can do one thing really, really great and become the best in the world. Right. You can make all the money in the world just doing one thing great. You can do a whole bunch of stuff good and still be broke at the end of the week. I mean,
no, I like that because you're right.
Yeah, I mean, so that's and for me, that's been like we talking about like roles and things I'm doing personally. That's where I'm defining that. I'm trying to define more. So where do I do that? I want to do one thing great. I've done a lot of different things in my career, been around a lot of different spaces, but I just want to do one thing really, really great. And so it's just defining that one thing that I want to do and that I also do great. It's got to be a combination there. I can't just want to do it. I got to be able to have the ability to do it great. I'm not going to be an Olympic swimmer. It's not going to happen. You know?
No, I like that, man, because I think a lot of business owners need to hear that, man. I know that our operations manager, like we talked to her about growth opportunities with our business, and we told her, me and Michael are entrepreneurs, but you're a intrapreneur, right? So you're someone that, you don't own the business, but you're an integral part of this business.
Exactly.
And we're going to bonus you accordingly. We're going to take care of you accordingly, right?
We're going to give you some security.
For sure. No doubt about it, man. So, so intrapreneur, that's a term that I learned when I was reading Buy Back Your Time with Dan Martell. Also, there's a buyback formula in that book, which I really love, and I try to share it every chance I get. So a lot of business owners, they think, well, I can't afford to hire anybody, right? Like you talk about $45 an hour, someone $45 an hour to answer the phone, they're probably doing everything, right? Yeah. Well, the buyback formula basically says that you take your adjustable gross income, that number that you're being taxed on, and you divide it by 2,000 hours, because it's 2,000 hours in a work year minus 2 weeks vacation. So you take that 2,000, you take your adjustable gross income divided by 2,000, and that's your hourly rate. So let's say it's $100 an hour. Yeah. You take 1/4 of that and you go hire somebody.
I love it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So there's actually a formula for buying your time back and focusing on the things that you need to be doing. And answering the phone is not going to help your business. You can't scale your business if you're the one answering the phone. If you're doing everything and answering the phone, and if me and Michael were doing every little thing for Family Financial, we would not be able to scale.
Exactly.
Right. We got to focus on scaling. So we have to have other people in place. And there's a formula for us being able to pay that out. We know, our number is this number as far as what we made on our adjustable gross income. We take that divided by 2,000 hours, 1/4 of that we go ahead and hire somebody. Do the same thing next year. We keep doing that year after year after year, and that allows us to continue to grow, to get folks to do things to help us grow, and we can focus on scaling the things that you're really going to need to really, really, really explode your business.
See, this is why you watch Free Game John D. That's a whole bunch of free game that you just gave out that a lot of people are missing out on because, as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we see a vision. We see this is something I really want to do. I'm passionate about it. I just want to go do it. Listen to some people that's been in that route before. Whether it's a different business or not. Like I said earlier, there are certain aspects of entrepreneurship and business ownership. No matter what you do, you're gonna run across it. That's just the industry. That's just the way it works. So listen to people out there that's doing those things and really capitalize. And again, you got to be able to replicate yourself at some point. If you're going to do a business, you're going to go in that business. If you're not teaching someone what you're doing and how you're doing it and what to do, you'll never take a vacation.
Come on, man.
You'll never take some time off. And sadly, no matter how much you say, I'm doing this for my family and for my kids, if something happens to you today and you pass away, that business is gone too.
Yeah.
Everything you spent all those hours and missed out on time and family and said, oh, yeah, I'm making all this money, but I'm missing out on this time, is gone away. In most cases, it's gone instantly. Yeah. So it's like, hey, go in and find somebody. Find someone that you can hire, some partner with, teach them, work collectively together and say, look, hey, I'm going to take vacation this week. You got everything. Yeah. Next week, you go on vacation. You off this weekend. I'm off this weekend. Right. Whatever the case may be, buy back your time. And I love that. Because if you're taking 1/4 of that adjusted income and you can hire someone to do those roles, it may not just be one person. If you're making $100 an hour, that's your adjustment, and you go, all right, so $25, I might be able to hire two people.
Come on, man.
I might be able to hire two people. And the other thing is we get into this, I got to hire somebody full time. Well, you started off doing it part time. Hire somebody part time. Hire someone for 1 day a week so that you can get some time back or that you can go out and focus on your business instead of being in it so much. And what is that really going to cost you? What does it really, really cost you? And most people that say, oh, it's costing me too much, that means you're just not managing your time.
Come on, man.
That means that time that you took off, you stayed in the bed. You slept all day, right? You weren't out there doing something that you should have been doing. Because when I'm out of my business on a work day, I'm working somewhere else. I'm always working. Even if it's just thinking about what the next idea is or what the next plan is. Or I'm meeting with somebody, I'm talking to someone. If I'm going out and having a conversation with young people, I'm seeing them as future leaders.
For sure.
Future employees, future managers, people that I can really grow and adapt to in the future state. So, being a business owner, you got to be a visionary. It's a part of that too. You got to be a visionary.
Sure.
Have a vision for where you want your business to go and where you want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah. Listen, man. But I'm gonna start calling this the Free Game Harrison.
No.
Free Game Harrison around here, man. But no, man. You dropped so much stuff there, man. I had to piggyback on some of that stuff. There's a book by Pat Bet-David called Your Next 5 Moves, and he talks about, as you talked about, basically people saying, "Oh, I can't hire someone full time." You said, "Well, hire them part time." Yeah. Well, in his book, he talks about how when you hire people, hire them to be task driven and not presence driven. Because some folks think, well, I need someone to come in the office. I'm gonna clock in and I need to keep my eyes on them. No, I mean, you just need them to get stuff done. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you may be able to just pay them an hour, an hourly wage, a part-time hourly wage, just to get this done. I don't need you to come in and clock in every day. Just get these particular tasks done. Because if you're presence driven, they'll give you the presence, but none of the task.
I like that.
So you're gonna have to decide what you want in your business.
Wholeheartedly.
Do you want tasks to be done? So we need our people to GSD. I can't say that. Yeah. But we need them to GSD. As long as they in the GSD mode, we don't care if they work 1 hour a day. Yeah. Did you GSD? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Don, we got everything. Hey, good, great. Yeah. Right. But if you make them presence driven because you need them to come in the office every day, clock in, all this kind of stuff, what's going to happen is that they'll be presence driven, but not task driven, and you won't get any of the tasks done. So that's just kind of how we kind of model our business. So I loved everything you said about that because you may not need them to work, full time.
Well, and not only that, I like the task driven. Give them a task. Even if, you got people out here that's like, man, I'll go out and I'm trying to do a side hustle. I'm going to work on the side, right? And we talked about entrepreneurship. We understand that these business owners out here that's already doing things, find that person that's already doing that business. Go in and say, hey, if I can relinquish you 2 hours a week, pay me this. Pay me this, and I'm going to learn while I'm here, but what tasks you need me to do. These are the tasks I'm going to handle. Now I can become an entrepreneur and I can learn, but I'm also building a relationship. I'm also building a partnership at the same time. And for that business owner, they're getting some help and assistance as well. Man. So it works both ways in reality. And so it's like, hey, take that time, but be task driven. It's important. You got to have tasks. You got to identify those things. You got to have a job description. You got, you're going to hire somebody. You got to have, this is your job description. This is what I need you to do. Don't worry about anything else. If you come in, back in the day, we used to do collections. And, we do Mondays and Thursday nights and stay there till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I hired staff. And finally I said, we're going to hire somebody to come in from just 6 to 9 p.m. And that's all they're going to do is calls. They ain't got to sell nothing. They ain't got to do nothing else. You just make these phone calls. Get someone a voice with them.
Yeah. So, no, I think that's very important because there's just a lot of things that your business requires that you have to do. But then there's a lot of things that you don't have to do. And there's other people that are going to be more, man, like our admin and our operations manager, like they're passionate about their roles. They're going to get that stuff done. We're going to see 20 emails about stuff that we may think is minuscule, but to them it's gigantic, and it's gigantic to the business. I mean, it's just that we don't need to be doing it, right? So they're doing it, and they're doing it with passion, and they're making sure things get taken care of, man. Like you said about the collection situation, like those girls that do collections, they're probably serious. Yeah. They're like, ma'am, you owe us X amount of money, ma'am. Like, exactly. Like, but you're not going to probably have that same passion because you're like, man, it becomes a chore if you have to do it.
Exactly.
Because you need to be scaling. You need to be thinking, you got other things that you need to be doing to grow that business, and people don't understand. They get caught up in the mundane things of the business. Oh, like you run a restaurant or some sort of store or something, and you're the one at the cash register. Yeah, like you need to be trying to figure out how to buy another store. You know what I'm saying? You need to be doing other things to grow the business. You don't need to be here doing the daily task of the business. I understand that people start off like that, but I think one of the things that I see some business owners do, as soon as they start making money, they start to spend it.
Yeah. Oh no, you gotta save.
So they don't put it back in the business, man. And you have to put it back in the business. And and I just don't see enough people that quite understand it. That's what it's about. Because if you're not gonna put it back into your business, it's a job. Now you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, you're creating an income for yourself, but it's a job. And in essence, you can't scale, you can't grow.
Yeah, because now your livelihood is dependent upon you getting revenue that week.
Come on.
I can't pay my bills at home because I ain't got the revenue in this business, so I'm sufficing it. I've been there. Yeah, I've been there twice.
Listen, man, I was in trucking for a long time, and I would always say that, and it was called Doughboy Trucking, but ultimately, I just made a job for myself, right? Yeah. I was, I was pretty decent with saving, but basically, I made a job for myself because if I didn't go out and drive that truck, we didn't get paid. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I was so busy driving that I couldn't focus on scaling and growing and what that took because I was the one doing all the work. And so people would say, well, you in a trucking business? Yeah, I'm in a trucking business. Not really. I bought a truck and I'm running the truck. I created a job for myself. I mean, there's some freedom attached to that, but ultimately I created a job for myself. This is not a real business. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said before, you talk about death. If I would have died out there on the road, there's no other income coming in. Yeah, so that's not a business. That's not a income generating business outside of me generating income.
Exactly.
Right. And so if I'm not generating income, there's no business. So that's not the position that you want to be in.
No. And and again, some of that's people thinking outside the box. I'm always a thinker and a conceptual thinker when it comes to business. When you ask me about entrepreneurship, that's my niche is consulting and trying to help people grow, looking at their current situations, and that comes with time, that comes with experience. It definitely does. That's why you're able to get this free game done, because you done had these experiences.
Yeah, man.
You've been there
for sure.
Unlike a lot of people, you've been there, and the challenge is, we have all heard statistics. Most businesses don't make it past 5 years.
That's right. They fail,
and sadly, in our communities, don't make it past 3 in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so, look at the ways that we can again, goes back to like the partnerships and stuff. And I always think outside the box. If you're not hiring somebody to do something that you can't do for the day, or to give you a break, or to enable you to go out and grow your business, partner with folks. If you're a retail, you're a brick and mortar, hey, you work this day, and then I go to my regular job on these other days, and somebody else is working this day. And we can split these objectives up. Look at ways to split responsibilities up. So I've always heard I would rather have 1% of a billion than 100% of 100,000 any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or 100% of a million. Because now splitting some of those objectives out, if I've got a job, I got a job, and I can secure my family first. And now it enables me to put more money in and invest in my idea or my business. And I've got collaborators that are actually doing the same thing. We can grow together. We can scale that business faster too. That enables, because down the road, if it's really, really successful, and we're like, man, we want to open another location. Okay, well, we done made so much money. We done all learned these objectives. We done all learned this business. Who's gonna go out and run that one then? And matter of fact, let's get 4 or 5 locations, and you take that one, you take this one. We're gonna all split this up because we've been there together. So there's challenges that all entrepreneurs take. I'm not gonna say don't go into entrepreneurship, because we need small business ownership. We need business ownership in a whole. We got to be able to grow our small businesses into corporations, though. We got to get them larger so that they can make bigger impacts in our communities and the things that we have going on in the communities, because that's where it comes from. It comes from business. In a business, I train people. I give them quality of life. I change the whole trajectory of their life. I know you've employed people. We've all employed people that say, man, I'm having a really tough time right now. That this is the situation I'm in right now. And through that employment, you listen to them, you talk to them, you groom them, you pay them well, potentially, because they do a really good job. And then you see them a year later or 2 years later, and man, it's such a drastic difference. Such a drastic difference, I can remember an associate that worked with me, and she bought her first car she had ever bought on her own, and paid it off, and how ecstatic she was. And I go, man, that didn't just change her, that changed the community around her, that changed her kids and aspects. So it comes through employment. That's a big thing too. As entrepreneurs, that's the challenge of doing it on your own. We got to find ways to get to where we're employers. We're not just business owners, but we're employers. We got to employ each other so that we can see those economics come back around full force.
Yeah, no, I like that, man. There was a quote, I was trying to find it while we were talking. I think it's a Rockefeller quote where he basically was saying that it's better to have, I think he said better to have 10% from 100 people versus 100% from one, meaning yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and just basically talking about growing and scaling. Like if you're the one that's doing everything, it's going to be really, really, really hard for you to grow that business. And I think I think that especially us shout out to us. I mean, as Black folks, we're very resilient, man. But
for sure.
A lot of us are, and first of all, let's be honest, most wealth creators that you see in successful business owners, they're first generation.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so they've learned a lot of stuff. And so when they're talking, like you say, me, for instance, like when I was in trucking, I thought I was a business owner for 20 years. I really did. Yeah. Until I became a business owner, then I realized, okay, there's levels to this stuff, man. Yes, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize it. I mean, but like you say, hiring people, and there's so much, I don't know what's the word, satisfaction.
Oh yeah.
In helping people provide for themselves. I don't know what it is, man. I love to give people jobs.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do, man. I love to give people jobs. I mean, and we have employees, we have contractors.
Yes.
But I love for people to be able to support themselves, and and I love to be someone that is playing a part in helping people take care of their families and achieve some of the things that they want to achieve, man. It's a very empowering thing to be able to create jobs. But I don't think that a lot of us think like that. We're like, oh, well, I can't afford to hire anyone. I mean, but I can't do this, I can't do that. And honestly, man, if you're getting in business to buy I guess maybe that's also goes back to why are people getting into business? Because if you're
that's the truth.
So let's start there.
Identify why am I getting into business?
For sure. Me and my wife were very materialistic, and we just wanted to just live a certain lifestyle.
Yes.
Maybe we would not have all these folks that are on payroll because we would just be like, oh, we got this, we got that. But it's like
you wouldn't have time to enjoy it.
Well, no, that's true. Because we got to do everything. You know what I'm
You
saying?
could afford that cruise, you just wouldn't be able to go on
For
it.
sure. You know what I'm saying? No, that's 100%. You know, hey, that's true, man. So, but I don't think people think that far out in advance. But I know with us, it was all about time.
Yes.
Like we really just wanted time to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it.
That's the key.
And that was the thing that we prided ourselves on once we got into this particular space, man. Like me and shout out to my wife, man, because you know when we started growing, man, we were doing a lot, and I remember one day I told her this like 5 years ago. I said, "Listen, we're going to keep growing and scaling, and we're buying time, but right now I know it's hard."
Yes.
And I think that a lot of business owners don't quite understand it. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right. But if you stay the course, your success compounds.
Yes, it does.
You know what I'm saying? Success compounds year after year after year. You know what I'm saying? You just keep having those small wins. Small wins turn into big wins. They compound year after year after year. And before you know it, you're 5-6 years in. You know, it's those first 3 to 5 years where it's like, man, this thing could go either way here, man. You know what I'm saying? But you keep having these small wins, and these small wins continue to compound, man. And so I tell a lot of, you know, especially, you know, our people, man, listen, man, just hang in there, man. If it's something you want to do, manage your money, put everything back into your business, hire people to help you, get people around you smarter than you. Like,
for sure.
Our operations, manager, she's smarter than me. Yeah. Right. She's smarter than me. And my Kale Pop said she's smarter than her too. So she did she came by yesterday to do a demonstration for at a leadership meeting we had at the office with some of our agency partners. And she was great, man. I was like, man, if I had to do this would be a struggle. You know what I'm saying? But just having people around us that are smarter than us, that are more capable of doing certain things, and we can focus on, you know, the things that we're passionate about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's big, man.
It's time management. It's figuring out all those different things. You know, understand that someone is better at something. That's hard, I think, sometimes for entrepreneurs and business people to go, this person's better than me.
For sure.
They're better at this than me. You know? Now you'll realize that if they're beating you down and you just not meeting objectives, but to realize that up front, hey man, this person is better at this than me. So I got two choices. I can try to catch up with them and compete against them, or I can partner with them and have them help me achieve what I really want to achieve. Because there are a lot of people out there, you know, there used to be a phrase like, you know, meet a new business owner, first thing, why do you want to do this? And of course, money, finance, security. But in lots of cases, if you just want the money, finance, and security, just go do that for somebody else. They'll give it to you.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll definitely give you all those things. So why do you really want to take on all of it on your own? And a lot of times it is to recapture, leave something for my family to have. And, you know, we can talk about succession planning and the importance of things like that. That falls under hiring people. Yeah, for sure. That, you know, your business operates while you're not there. That's a key thing too, because, you know, a lot of times you're an entrepreneur, you work so much and you lose so much because at the end of the day, when you leave, business closes.
Come on, man.
If you're gone for the week, you get sick or, you know, things like that, the business operations are down. So find ways to bring people in, teach somebody, show them. It's okay to show them. It's okay to show someone else what your magic sauce is. Now, I didn't say, you know, I didn't say you had to go and spread the recipe everywhere, right? So you can keep that internally within your organization, but be willing to show and bring some of those people in. You're going to have turnover too. Turnover is a challenge when we talk about hiring. You know, it's going to take really trusting others because, you know, if you can trust people to loan you money and you don't, or different things like that, and you don't know what's going to happen, where it's going to come from, that's going to be a challenge. You got to trust some people. You got to have to extend yourself. You got to trust clients. You got to trust suppliers. You got to trust all these other folks that do what they say they're going to do. Trust people closer to you to help you with your business.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And that's big. I mean, I think that's the thing that most business owners have a hard time doing, trusting other people, right? Because they feel like no one can do it the way
I'm going to do it.
The way I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, show them how you do it.
Show them how you do it, man. You know,
and then you'll know if they can handle it or not. If they can't handle it, then you need to find somebody.
And here's the thing, though. I mean, someone, and this is another book, and I think this is also in Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I think he said 80% from someone else is better than 100% from you. So if you have someone doing something for you, maybe they don't do it exactly like you do, but they do it 80%. That's still good.
Yeah.
Now you can focus on other things that need to be done.
Exactly.
And the more they do it, that 80% probably will be just as good as you. Right. So is it that they don't do it as good as you, or are you afraid that they're gonna do it as good or better than you? And I think sometimes that's the problem. It's the ego thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want them to do it better than me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, but you need them to do that thing probably better than you, so you can focus on, because nobody's great at everything.
No.
Like, there's things in our business that Mike Hill would say, okay, Don needs to do this. Yeah. But then there's certain things that Mike Hill needs to do, and there's certain things that our operations manager needs to do, and our admin needs to do. Everybody has a special talent. We don't have anyone that is great at everything. And in the beginning, me and Mike Hill, we had to be great at everything. It was just us. But we started to realize, man, there's a lot of things that we're just not that good at this. We're doing these things because we have to do them. But, man, let's get someone else in here. And now we're coming to find out, man, they're way better at these things than what we are. And so we basically have them managing other people, you know what I'm saying? And it's been great. And just – and like you talk about replacing yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
Getting people that can do what you do.
Exactly.
So you can do some of the other things that you want to do to grow and scale your business. I think it's imperative that every business owner does that.
Yeah. Oh, and definitely. And, shout outs to Michael and yourself, because not just being husband and wife, y'all are great partners in your business. There's different roles that each of you play. You understand, like you just said, there's certain things that she's great at that she has to handle, certain things you're great at that you just got to handle. And it's a self-realization sometimes, because a lot of times we see business owners and you're married couples or different things, and you're like, yeah, they probably shouldn't have gone into business together. They great as a couple, but, you mix business with life, and the same way with business and family, And I've done both, with family and so forth. So, really be strategic, think about those things, and really be there. Because sometimes that spouse just needs to be your support system, not in your business, just your support system at the end of the day. Yeah. And if they can jump in that role, they can be, because us as men, sometimes I've seen people that husbands and wives and spouses are in business, and it's really the wife's business,
right?
But the husband is so dominant, and and just in some sense, it's like, you need to take a step back. She's the specialist in this. And vice versa. It goes both ways. So, but that's the same dynamic with any partnership. So identifying the strategic partnerships, the roles, writing those things out, creating all that for an entrepreneur. And that's, kind of the topic we're talking about is entrepreneurship, is really defining those things. And, just because you have a business degree doesn't mean you know how to do business.
Yeah, come on, man.
And I have a business degree. So I'm saying that. But because you learn so much while doing the business, while doing the job, and you have to observe and see those things happen. So, for entrepreneurs out there, keep on keeping, keep dreaming, keep focusing in on your business, take a lot of this advice that you hear that comes across these airways. Take that advice to heart from not just from this podcast, but all the resources out there, because everybody wants to see us succeed. We want to do great business because we understand the importance it lies in our communities and for our families. We want to do generational business. We don't want just business to be here today. We want generational business. And so to have generational business and a generational impact, that means we got to collaborate. We got to work together. We got to take advice from one another. We got to trust one another. Now, I can trust you to do bad, and I can trust you to do good. I can trust on both of those, and I can identify which one of those I'm going to trust you to do. If I trust you to do bad, I'm going to stay away from you, because I know I trust that you're going to do bad. But for those that you can trust and know that can do good, bring those people close. Make them partners. Make them collaborators. I use the term partnership, but it's just really friendship. We're just working together on a common goal. We sit on several boards. Everyone on the board is a partner. We're a brand partner. Now, money doesn't change hand anything else, but we exchange ideas, and we have a common goal to see the success.
For sure.
The success of an organization. We got to have those same type of groups in our businesses. Find some founders. Find some founders that can found a business with you. They may never work into it with you, but but they're a founder because they gave me the backup, the strength, the knowledge, the connections that I needed for my organization to grow day one. You know, and pre-plan some of that stuff. That's the other thing. Like, I know we said way early in the podcast, and I don't want to run over time, but
you good?
You know, people say, I'm gonna leave my job, I'm gonna jump into business. Well, what foundation have you built before? Where you gonna land? When you jump out that job, where you gonna land? Because if I jump out my job today, I need a very secure landing spot. I need it cleared out. I need everything. I need a path that I'm gonna take off on. Everything to be set up for me because I've seen it and I've been there. And so I'm not gonna leave my job to jump out into business until I know that I've got a foundation set. That means I got right connections. I've done some research. I've done some market development. All those things that I can do that will cost me far much more if I haven't done them when I jump out there than what it will for me planning and preparing myself. Because the biggest businesses, the biggest corporations you see out there, they got whole departments that don't do anything else but plan for the future before they do anything else. Called R&D, research and development. Research and development, that's all they do. And they researching not for the next year, 2 years. They research for the next decade. They research for the next 20 years. What is this business going to look like if I start it now? Where do I want to be in 20 years? Who's going to take it over in 10 years and get it to the next level? You know, those are the fundamentals you just gotta think about and really try to organize and plan those things together before you just take a jump out there. It's going to be a tough landing. It's going to be a tough landing if you just jump out there. There's very few. You call them Cinderella stories. You know, they jump out there and it's boom, and man, it just skyrockets. And they're out there. There's some, you know, but it took a lot of work. And I guarantee, if you look in their background, they had a support system that was there. You just saw them jump. You didn't see the parachute and the people holding the strings behind them and the rope behind them when they jumped. You know,
Wow.
There were people there to have a safety net when they landed. You know, in that position. So, you know, build your teams, build your networks, connect with people. If it's not your family, it's friends. If it's not your friends, it's partners. It could be a total stranger, but talk to them, build some trust, build that connectivity, and then you can take a jump. Then you can leap out your current position of job.
Wow. Listen, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk for a while.
Yeah, that's some. We should be charging y'all for this, man. That's now that right there. Wow. So listen, man. As we wrap up here, man, do you have any parting words? You know, fatherhood, business. You have any parting words before we wrap up?
You know, for any father, any man out there, any human being out there, I say, whatever you do, take it seriously. You know, if you can put your name behind it, if you're gonna represent yourself, do it to the fullest. Give it your whole effort, whether that's fatherhood, motherhood, entrepreneurship, CEO, religion, church, whatever it is. Be respectful, be kind, be honest, work with people, be caring enough to help someone else. And then just give it, if you're going to do it, give it your all, because it's going to represent you one day. You know, I know you said, you know, on any headstone, you got a date of birth and you got a date of end, but it's that line in the middle that's the most important, because that's what you're really remembered for. Right. So take that wherever you go, you know, and really just give it your focus and your time and care.
Yes, sir, man. Listen, Harrison, man, that was great. Ladies, listen, man, this is a good looking dude, man, but he's not dating or anything like that. This is good. He got a great head on his shoulder, handsome dude, man. A father, single father at that. Nah, man, it was a pleasure having you on here, man. We've been talking about this for quite some time, but I finally got you on here, man. We finally chopped it up, man. So this was great, man. But listen, this is gonna conclude the episode, Single Fatherhood, Free Game Don D, Life, Family, and Business.